Right then, let's see. I think we're back again. What a day. Give us a thumbs up if it's working. Or type something out below. Marvellous. Let's see, got so much stuff on my desk here at the minute. Evening, Peter. Evening, Peter's in Stella. Evening. Marvellous, we must be working then. I'm knackered, unsurprisingly. What a day. What a day. Anyway, I hope you all got something in the auction if you were busy buying. And yeah, we'll have a look through some of the prices and see what we think. Evening, Peter. Evening, Stephen. Right, let's have a look, see. If I bring up over here. Yes, that should work, shouldn't it? Can I zoom in on this a little bit? I might be able to. Bear with me a minute. If I zoom in on this screen, does that help a bit? Oh, there's too much in there. That'll be right, mightn't it? That's better. We can. Yeah, let's do it like that. Cool. Eden Richard, have I got any voice left? Not really, no, as you can probably hear. I've not got much voice left or much energy left, I don't think. Surprisingly knackering. Long day. But never mind, we got through it again. It just seemed to drag out a bit. It's frustrating when people just put the hammer down and then people start to bid. Or actually, a lot of times, it's just as I lifted the hammer up, people started to bid. Which, I know everybody likes to leave it to a last second to bid, but it does make the auction drag on. It's a bit annoying, to be honest. I was discussing with somebody earlier on, actually, that I was talking about the crane. I mean, the crane made a lot of money, but it very nearly didn't, because it was, I think it was 2,100, I think it got to on the pre-bids, and it was almost like no one was going to bid anymore. And any other auctioneer would have probably knocked it down. A good job I didn't it? And that happened on 2 or 3 machines that were quite a lot of money. That I was discussing with somebody, as I say, a little while ago, that I do wonder. It's difficult to judge online because obviously the people are not in front of you. You know, in the good old days of an auction room, you could almost tell if someone was going to bid or not by the way they were looking, or to stop bidding, they'd shake their head. So, well, you know, that's it now, finished now, thank you very much. And the auctioneer would know quickly when people stop bidding. Of course, online you haven't got that. You've no idea really. You don't know if the internet's going a little bit slow, or if the person's going to bid again, or if somebody else is going to come in, or what. So it does kind of slow it down a little bit in that respect. And it's all I see is just the bidder numbers come up. I can see sometimes you'll see I'll remark there's 2 or 3 bidders in. If there's sort of 3 different bids within the last 3 or 4 bids, then I tend to give it a little bit longer because I know there's several people still bidding. Whereas if it's just down to 2 and the bidding stops, you can assume that one's dropped out and you're left with your winning bidder. So it can be a bit tricky. I'm learning all the time, but yeah, I do wonder now with online. A lot of auctions are online only. How often auctioneers are knocking stuff down when there was still potentially a good way to go with the bids. It does make you wonder, because literally some things I've just about to put the hammer down and somebody else bids and somebody else comes back, and although it drags out a little bit, I've got an extra 300, 500, 2,000 pounds on machines, which if I had to whack the hammer down, the seller wouldn't got. And as I often remark, you know, at the end of the day, my job is to get as much money for the sellers as I can. That's what they pay me for. And again, I know that can be a little bit frustrating if you're the buyer and you're desperately want me to bang the hammer down on your bid, but you have to think of it both ways round. You know, if you're the seller, if you're selling something, you want me to get as much money as I can for you, don't you? So it has to work both ways. So yeah, as I say, it's a learning curve. It's difficult to know what to do to try and get people to bid faster, other than knocking stuff down quickly. But that's not fair on the sellers, because you're effectively depriving them of the full value of their goods. So there we are. We do our best. It just is a case, I think, of online auctions. You just cannot go as quick as, you know, bricks and mortar auctions, as it were. But at least I don't think you can go as quick and be sure you're getting all the money for the goods. I just can't see how it can be done. There we are. It's noticeable that we at home seem to see new bids coming in before you do. Anybody else think that? It's possible. Yeah, may well be. It might just be down to internet connection speeds. Or I'm looking at 2 or 3 different screens all at the same time, so it can be, you know, don't necessarily notice something. Because the way it's set up, most auctions, if you watch any other online auctions, you'll always see the 3 or 4 people. There'll be the auctioneer on the rostrum. There's often somebody else typing the stuff in the computer. There may be somebody else reading out all the bids as they're coming in. They might also have telephone bids and things going on. And they might also be running the sale room system as well as the Easy Live system, and sometimes their own online bidding auction system as well. So they've got lots of people looking at different screens all at the same time. It's not designed for one person to run it. So there's several different screens, what they call the clerking screen, which is one that, you know, the lady down there is generally sitting at doing, who's typing the bids in and whatnot. And then there's what they call the rostrum screen, which is just the bare minimum of information that the auctioneer needs, i.e. the lot number, a picture of it, a description, and the reserve if he's got one, so he knows whether or not he can sell the lot. Then you kind of got the information screen thing, which I also live stream out. And not every screen has got all the bits of information on that you need. So you can be looking at one screen to see if you've met the reserve or not with the bids. Most of the stuff we sell is without reserve, so I don't tend to need to look at that all the time. But at the same time, the bids come up on the other screen, which I'm not necessarily looking at. If I'm looking at that one, if that makes sense, and checking that the live feed is going out okay. And then I usually have a little iPad thing next to me as well, logged in as you're logged in, as it were, just to double check that you know, it's coming out okay the other end again. We had a little blip when the thing went down, when it appeared on my screen that the sound wasn't coming through. But 2 or 3 of you very helpfully texted me. Thank you very much for those of you who did that, to let me know that it was okay. So there we are. As I say, we're always looking at ways we can improve it. Easy Live themselves are constantly improving the system. To be fair to them, they're really good, and they're doing tweaks and things all the time, just to make things a bit better and a bit quicker to use. But overall, yeah, we managed just a lot to concentrate all on at once. Anyway, there we are. Peter says, yeah, I saw them before. Steve seems to. Yeah, maybe it's an internet speed thing. Maybe it's yeah, I'll have to look. I'll have a look at them. I'll try and see on my little monitor that I see what you see as a buyer, if you like. If the bids change on there as quick as they change on my auctioneer screen. It's very interesting. Hadn't thought of that. I'll look at that another time. And if there is some lag, then I will let Easy Live know and see if they can track down what it is. Yeah, I wonder why that is. It's very interesting. I suppose. Yeah, I don't know why that would be. Anyway, Peter says the video feed was behind bidding at times. Some auctions ended before the hammer went down. That does happen sometimes with other auctions that I bid on as well. Evening, Lenny. So it's just the joys of the internet, I think, to be honest. It's remarkably really that the internet works at all when you think about it. So to try and do all this with live video feeds backwards and forwards. It's actually something else. Somebody, another customer I was speaking to earlier today, had remarked on that a lot of auctions now seem to be not doing the video feed. So I wonder if they're experiencing that same problem. They just do the audio. And obviously you've got the picture of the lot being sold, and just listen to the auctioneer rather than having the video as well. So it might be, perhaps we'll try that. because obviously the audio uses a lot less bandwidth going across the internet backwards and forwards than video feeds do. So that might speed it up. I might ask Easy like that. I'll make a note of that. It's a good point. A good point, well made. Let me just make a note. Ask EL about video delay versus audio. And yeah, there's an auction the other day. I was logged into a company, which one it was. Quite a big auction house, and they were doing audio only. An interesting point. Yeah. Pete says, interesting sale, wall machines with great value for money. Bull past the arrow, Brian's wall machines, etc. Bargains on the wall machines, yeah. There's always a bargain or two in every sale, and there's always something that makes more than we think it will in every sale. That's just kind of, seems to be auction law of any auction, of anything. Doesn't matter what it is. There's always one or two bargains, so you should always keep your wits about you, and always, if you can, stay logged in for the whole auction. You just never know what you're going to miss. Anyway, let's have a look. How do we do? Bandits. These bandits need a bit of work, but £46. 110. I had an odd email about this Wall-O-Matic selector box. Somebody said, oh, it's not right, it's got nothing in it, it's been turned into a light fitting. I'm like, I don't think it has, because if you look at it, it's got all the gubbins in it and it hasn't been turned into a light fitting. So I don't know what that was about. So I did email them back and said, are you sure you're looking at the same picture I'm looking at? Again, maybe there was some glitch and they were looking at a different picture or something, but the wall box is definitely full of gubbins. So that was a bit strange. Richard, I think they put my ball past the arrow in, glad I didn't. Evening, David. Yeah, but that ball past the arrow, whether it was because it was a version we hadn't seen before and it was a bit odd, don't know. I thought it was more interesting because it was a bit odd. But maybe other people didn't think the same. Maybe it was because it wasn't the black painted case as we usually see. Who knows? Who knows? Little parking meter 95. The AB phone 190. The Moon Star didn't go. It's one of the few that didn't go. Duchess 160, little Duchess front opener. Good for operating those, aren't they? The Cricket is 260. I think we sold that one once before. A couple of nice shiny bandits. These are Chromie 60s things. Riviera. What do we get there? 400. 480 on the Bingo. Really nice, good shiny. I was saying during the thing, it's really difficult to photograph chrome because you either I'll try and do it so it's reflecting kind of black and white, so it kind of shows up the chrome, but it's more difficult to photograph than you think because you're trying to show that the chrome is nice. If you do it against white, it just blares out completely and you can't see anything at all. Very odd. If there's any good photographers who know how to photograph chrome, I'd be appreciate some lessons. What do we have here? Mad Money 410. Always Mad Money reels in, so that was okay. The Film Stars 350. Needs a base. There's in these spares, there's a load of for these Bollinger machines, these little cast top flashes and things coming up. They'll start on the spares, start cataloguing next week. And I think that some of these little flashes and bits and bobs as well. So if any of you have got any of these Tombola machines, these single reelers that need bits, keep an eye out because we've got bits. The Extraordinary 460 needed an escalator. Other than that, yeah, escalator and the little wall cards really. Peacock 420, that needs a bottom cash box door. I think I might have got one of those somewhere. I had one, but I might have given it to somebody. But, if I can find one, I'll stick it in the spare sale. That was low for a bowling machine. Yeah, it needed a base and it needed a back door. I mean, it doesn't need a lot of work, really. But yeah, they're quite a nice shape, those machines. I quite like them. They're always, if anyone who's operated them knows, they always chip the Formica off because of the wood shrinks over years, especially if it's been getting damp and dried out again. And the wood the veneer's stuck on shrinks at a different rate to the veneer. So with the veneer just very, very slightly longer than the size of the machines, and they always catch and splits the veneer off. Which is a shame, but there we are. The FOK 650, don't see many of those. The commercial 540, again, haven't had them for a while. Not a bad one, a bit sluggish. As I said, all of these came from the same collection. Been sat on really since the 70s pretty much. And not really used, so they just need going through a bit of a clean, bit of oil. And I'm sure they'll be all right as rain, really. The Bullion 1060. A couple of hits. Oh, that was a lot, but it was a particularly good and original and unmessed around with. Nice original paint, original locks with the original keys, good original chrome. Yeah, they're getting really, really hard to find like that now. So I wasn't surprised it made decent money. Yeah. The Challenger 420. This was unusual because the cash box door was cast brass on this one, which I've not seen before. They're usually cast aluminium, but they're often missing altogether because of the weak point where the cash payout tray is. They always seem to crack and get lost. This is a cast brass, weighs a ton, the door. So whether they were done contemporary as a replacement, I mean, it looks completely original, or whether they were they done in brass first and then aluminium later on? I've always known them in aluminium. Interesting. Anyway, it'll come out nicely, that one, I think. Some of these early wall machines then. So the Airship Rocket Sharer J&M 660. That's a rare machine, that. I thought it might do a bit more, but it just seems this early stuff at the moment, there's not as much interest as the Ollie Wales, Brian's Wonders, etc. stuff. People like the colourful back flashes, I think. And it's a shame, really, because this stuff is so rare. Well, there we are. It's gone to a good home, and I'm sure they'll be delighted with it. The Shield Catcher 470. Again, need a little bit of work, but, you know, essentially untouched. So, nice machines. Pete says he agrees, but every auction has a bargain. I was buying the pop at auction yesterday, and some lots were so cheap I could not believe it, and then the specials made amazing prices. Yeah. The key is to buy the cheap stuff, isn't it? The Allwyn Deluxes, 420 and 590. The fabric back one, the cloth back one, did need a few bits, as I put in the description, but such a good machine, really. Was it 1979? I think it was, that auction label was on it or something. Yeah, 1979, 15th of May. The chap had bought it to restore, never got around to restoring it, and so sat there all that time. But just a really lovely colour on it, you know, a bit of a clean up. And dual slot one. And then the metal back one, which you don't see very many of, because again, they always got modernised and had plastic shoved in them. At 590. The little Allwyn number 4, what was that, 520? And the Shocker one, 520 as well. I think there might be Polyphon, I think, made that one, didn't it? I think, from memory. Yeah, the fun, the ball past the arrow, 680. There we are. Cheap, and it should have bought it. Little stereoscope 60. This, yeah, the chap told me many years ago, a long time ago, early 70s, when he was collecting this little stereoscope, he swapped 3 Allwins for it with another well-known collector back in the day, whose name I shall not reveal. He's no longer with us, but yes, perhaps not the best of deals, was it? About £60, bearing in mind his 3 Allwins would have probably made 2,000. Hey ho, live and learn. Little vending machine 22, Brian's clock 560. That was a reasonable price for a clock, wasn't it? Yep. The 3 ball 7 win, 780, a new cabinet, but seemed cheap for a 3 ball machine, really. Peep Show 380, haven't had one of those for a while. That's gone to a Brian's collector, so that's good. I'm sure that'll be sorted out. What else have we got? Little Gripper 360, always good money takers, these. When I was operating, had a few of them. It's one of those competitive game. If somebody has a go, and then they obviously challenge their mates or whatever, don't they? So they just sit there and just take money. Tip them off. That's gone to an operator. I think that's going to end up on site. Again, fantastic things for taking money. Like you wouldn't believe, but not the prettiest looking machine, but they just eat money. Good bit of kit. Stockbroker 300. I think the wooden one made more than the... Yeah, 260 the Stockbroker / Cricketers in the all alloy case. And the wooden one there, 300. That's interesting. Don't know who did these. There's, I mean, Samsung badged. So whether Samsung commissioned them, did them, made them. I don't think Samsung's actually made anything as such. Just stuck with Baby like Ruffer and Walker. The little Sneezy 42. The 24, we have sold that now for 2,400. Sold it afterwards. Didn't quite get there in the auction. Not by a little bit. It was a tight, firm reserve because the gentleman had paid quite a lot of money for it. So he was prepared to lose money, but not quite as much as he would have done. But we managed to do a deal afterwards. So that's sold 2004. The BDR 570. Great mechs in these. Those of you who like your mechanisms, so well made. And that unusual conical reels. Just something a bit different. 860 on the hat trick. If you missed that hat trick, got another one coming in the July auction. So if you missed that one, you've got a chance of another one. The nice shiny high top. I think this might be one we sold a few years back when we had that kind of run of very shiny high tops in for a good few auctions. I think this is one that's come around again, 1020. Just always a classic. They always seem to do well, don't they? The high tops with just a classic design, really, a bit like the Governors. The Master Golf 370, that was all ready to go, been restored. 630 for the Challenger, the restored one. What did the unrestored one make again? Let's just have a look. It's probably driving you dizzy me scrolling coming down. Sorry. 420, the unrestored one. 420 and 630 for the restored one. So yeah, I suppose that's fair enough. The Paul Tote 710, rare machine. I think there's more of Peter's originals around than there are real ones, as I mentioned before. I don't know many real ones. I've got one. This one. I think we might have sold one over the years. I haven't got one in recent sales history, but back in the day, Northampton at the racecourse, not Northampton, at Huntington. The little Northwestern, that was quite nice. Cast iron, nice enamel on that one. 110. Seemed cheap, really. Little vendor. The Ace didn't quite make it. I'm not far off, I don't think. I think it needed to be £100 odd, and it has got a crack in the globe, but it's at the back. So the G80 340. Got to be cheap for a jukebox, hasn't it? But the one that surprised a few people, I think, was the Crane. 6,350 we ended up at. As I say, it would have been so easy almost to have knocked that down at 2,000 odd, because the bidding was a bit slow. You're just about to do it, and then it bids again, and then just about all done, and then another bid, and so on and so on and so on. So yeah, it'd be nice to see it all done, really. Space Invaders Cocktail 240. That's an original Tato one. Mostly still in Japanese. Horoscope Scales 250. I quite like those, but I like a bit of deco, so there we are. Leprechaun didn't go. The Pepsi Vendor 460. Much rarer than the Coke, and they don't make so much money. It's very strange, isn't it? Because people like Coke, evidently. So that's quite interesting. The 11s is 680. Original backflash in that one. The Gap went, I don't know why that's so now. The Gap didn't quite go. I don't know why it shows 9. I probably clicked the wrong button at the time. But it's not sold. It'll probably be in the next auction, I expect. It wasn't far off, I don't think. If you're interested in it, in the meantime, get in touch with me. We'll see if we can do a deal. The 3-ball 9 cup, 1650. Seems to be the rarest of the 3-ball machines, at least the one that turns up the least often. There is, I think there's a Forks on the way for the next auction as well, if you're looking for a 3-ball Forks. I think I've got one coming. Keep your eyes out for that. The Castle Top 11s is 700. What was the plain one again? Was it 680 for the little one? Yeah, 680, 700 for the fancy case, or Castle Top case as we usually call it. The Flyover I thought might make a little bit more. Just on what the giant wonders have been making of late, I thought it'd get close to 2 grand, but there we are. 1460. So, seemed like a good buy, really. A little Patchy Slow Machine, 220. Peter says a Flyover was a bargain. There you go. We should have bought it, shouldn't you? Put it with all your other ones. The lovely Argyle Fortune Teller, 1,040. Yeah, I thought that'd be about 1,000. Wasn't surprised. Tempted, but I've got a lot of Fortune Tellers. I didn't really need another one. Lovely machine. Then the other Argyle, the mirror front one, 590. The Shocker, again, maybe that shocked a few people, at 5.5 grand. Again, another one, it took a long time to get there. But, you know, it's the nature of the game, really. Two collectors battling it out all the way, pretty much, for that. And it's staying in England, which is a nice thing. They're both bidders are English collectors, so yeah, could see it was going to stay here. Was speculation it might end up making its way over to America, but it hasn't, so that's good. 5,500. That rather striking Clement Garrett Venda 530. I really like that. I don't know why. I think this is just unusual shape and just so nice and original and untouched. All its labels, all its everything on it. Original finish. You're not going to find a nicer one, really. And oops, back to there. Yeah, 530. The little air gun pellet machine 520. Again, another rare little thing. Vendors have been doing well the past few years. They really seem to have come up in price. So there's a few collectors out there. If you've got any unusual vending machines, probably a good time to sell them. Onto some of these little dinky things. The Zip 260. And the Ace 430. The Ace is amazing little machine. It's 5 reeler and a gun vendor and a split profit cash box thing. All in a thing barely 6 inches square. Amazing, really. Little poker machine. The nice Columbus Model A cast iron with the bracket 300. A little stamp. That was interesting. Little thing. Little stamp vendor with the fortune telling little envelopes to put the stamps in. All been fully restored. £90 seems a bargain, really, doesn't it, for all the work that went into doing it, really. Superior 450, that was one that had a new case with it if you wanted to swap it around. I wouldn't have done personally, I don't think. You can probably see it sort of, just sort of flaking a little bit here and there. But I'm not sure it's bad enough to want fully replacing. Depends how you like your machines, I suppose. Some people like them like brand new as they come out of the factory. Other people like stuff to sort of look its age, but there was a new case there if you wanted to do it. The Matchbox Vendor 240. Again, that's another one with the original. Hard to photograph because it's a bit, I think a lot of it's dirt on it. I think it'll probably clean up a little bit carefully. But there's original paint on it. Bearing in mind, an outdoor machine. How many of those have survived? Still with the paint intact. The Tot, that was a nice little thing as well. I quite like that. Unusual case is asymmetrical. So you've got that kind of very architectural design, different on each side, which makes it quite interesting. And that was, what was that, 340. The Spinner Winner 410, another super condition. Really, I think all it wanted was the big coin slot casting at the top, probably polishing up a little bit. Not too much, but yeah, it's a cast alley, just a little bit of a polish. I think we'll just bring it up a little bit. 160 on that strange Matchbox Vendor, dice tumbler, cigarette lighter, all in one little gadget-y thing. The Royal Flush, that's a good one, 530. I like that, and good mechanism in that, with that interesting kind of double reel thing going on, with one reel inside the other. Yeah, difficult to explain. You kind of had to see it, really. But lovely, super original condition. Where have we got then? The little dice machine, 260. And the Wise Owl Quisette, that kind of captured a few people's, like that little thing, 250. The Woodbine Cabinet 140. That cabinet was only the cabinet as we said, but it was pretty much mint, really. If you got a knackered old one, you could swap the mechs over, which I suspect is what happened to it. The Pushy Shooter 1550. Onto some couple of Bandits, Copper Star. I think that one had a bit of work, didn't it? I think that had no back door, did it? And bonnet. I think that was the one that had no door or bonnet. 180. The Progressive, without the progressive meter in it, 350. And another Mad Money 600. Mad Money's always seemed to do well with its Mad Money top box, Mad Money reels, etc. Yeah. The Drunkard's Dream 2100. That seems to be the price these keep making. That was another one that had gone up. It got hit 2100 on the pre-bids. No live bids on it. It got there before we started. Paul says, good evening, bit late, just finished putting up a new fence. I'm not really sure that's much of an acceptable excuse, but I suppose we'll have to let you off. What else do we have? Fleet, Bally Fleet Junior 190. These are good machines to play when these are going. All the little, I think I did a video of one we had in 2 or 3 auctions ago. Didn't have time for videos this time. All the little cannons fire the balls up the playfield, and they sort of progress up and then come down the middle cannon. Quite an interesting thing. The Wings 320. That spinning turntable feature in the playfield. The Champ 170. That one was a bit cheaper. Quite a nice machine. The Turf Champs 840, lovely machine, that super condition. So yeah, I thought that would do all right. And going to a home not too far away from me as it happened, so I might have to go and play it now and again. Nice machine. A couple of Jenningses, 1620 for the Continental, was one we sold before a few years ago, I think. Come back round again. The Governor 1540, nice chrome on that one. About right, about the sort of money they're making these days, isn't it? Used to be half that not so long ago, didn't they? What have we got in now? Pinball glasses 34, 42, 42. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wildly exciting then, really, was it? All the little machines are sort of 10, 15, 20 pound. All these little different model machines and things, somebody's collection. Little salt and peppers, they're quite sweet, 20 quid. These pewter ones were quite interesting by the jeweller chap. What else did we have? Pennies, yeah, usual sort of price, something 110 bag of mint. 80 for the non-mint ones, 1,000. About £80 a 1,000 was about the going rate for all the lots. Quite a lot of coins this time. Boy with all those. What else did we have? Anything interesting in the bits and bobs? Well, these little games were quite interesting. Tin-pin bowling game. Wasn't a lot of fairground stuff this time, but the Brighton Striking Mallet, that was quite good, 46. Elvis, 22. Excuse me. Gramophones, tenner. Yeah, well, we should be sort of 5 or 10 quid each. A few magic bits. There's some circus posters. One of these made quite a lot. It's a show I'd not heard before, so maybe it's a rare one. Which one was it? I know some sort of £5 or £10. Oh, this one, Circus Marcus, 48. I don't know if it's a particularly rare circus, as a show I've not heard of before, or whether there happened to be 2 people called Marcus bidding for it, perhaps. Don't know. Not many circuses visit Largs, maybe. Don't know. I have to do some research. I think that was about it, wasn't it? Yeah, there we go. Roll on the next one. So, next up is what is next? This date is wrong. I need to change this. It's July now, isn't it? So let's go back to the home page a minute. Just turn the video off. Yes, so our next auctions coming up are on here. Hopefully these dates won't need to change. There's a hell of a lot of work to do though, as you can imagine. So we've got 18th of June, the Thomas's clearance, about 50 machines. The spares now moved to 2nd of July, so move that one a week. 16th of July, all the coin-op books, mags, catalogues, photographs, all that lot, that big library full of stuff. And then 30th of July, vintage amusements again. So basically pretty much every 2 weeks, somehow or other. Which said, surprised my Reaper Anderton and Roland Bioscat poster didn't sell. Not many left from the old Fairground Society run. No, I've got one or two somewhere. I thought it looked rather good because it's so knackered that it looks almost real. But we'll stick it next time. It'll probably sell next time. Yeah, so my plan for this week is obviously I'm around all week for people collecting stuff, which means it's difficult to get a lot of work done. All the Thomas's stuff is in storage in the containers about half an hour away. So I'm not even going to try and catalogue that this week because I'm not going to be able to keep going backwards and forwards in between people collecting their stuff. It's just going to be silly. So I'm going to concentrate on making a start on the spares, because there's some boxes of spares here. And also perhaps go and grab a box or two of the books. Get a head start on those two auctions. People collecting this week, out on the road at the weekend delivering. So get in touch if you need stuff delivering. And then it'll have to be all hell let loose next week on cataloguing the Thomas's stuff. Shouldn't take too long in theory because it's all together. So hopefully a couple of days I can rattle through that lot. Well, I'll have to because I've only got a couple of days. But so yeah, so you won't see the Thomas's machines appear for a week or so. But I will start on the slots and the slot spares and all the books and stuff. And try and get ahead on those. So yeah, there we are. Marvellous. Anybody got any bright ideas, questions, comments, or anything else? Fire away. We'll have a mouthful of tea. Just go on cold. Ugh, nothing worse than cold tea. Surprised my voice has held up actually all day. But there we are. That could be a bad thing. I'm sure some of you would agree. So yeah, so I haven't had time, unfortunately, to dig out another little video, little vintage video tonight, because I've been literally since the auction, obviously dragged on a little bit, and then I've been busy sending all the invoices out and speaking to a few people about deliveries and collections and one thing and another. So I just run out of time. Somebody's just textified me. What's that? Oh, that's right. Some people are paying me some money. That's good. Oh, that's nice. Nice when you get a text in to say you just had £10,000 paid into your bank account. Lovely. If only it was all mine. Never mind. Yes, so tomorrow, Bank Holiday Monday, if you want to come and collect tomorrow, you're more than welcome. I'm here basically all day, every day, all week here in Cambridge. If you want to come and collect anything. Saturday, Sunday, the plan is to be delivering whatever's left, whatever's not been collected in the week, load it all on the van, deliver it, and or drop it into the Elephant House. So sometime next weekend, we'll call into the Elephant House because I will be, anybody who wants to collect stuff from there as usual. I'm not sure what time yet or which day, because it will depend on the delivery route. So you have to bear with me with that, and it'll probably only quite a short window of time. But we'll be there at some point. And also dropping off anything that hasn't been collected. The only things I can't deliver are the big machines, so things like the crane, pinball, a chap's come to collect them. We've already sorted that out. The Pepsi machine, jukebox, because they take up too much space in the van, and I physically can't get them on there by myself. But bandits, all wins, and all the little stuff, no problem. Richard's in Assisi, where it's later than the UK, so good night all, and nighty night, have fun. I should be going to bed myself soon, I think, today. I'm knackered. We'll catch you soon. Yeah. What was I saying? Yes. So just get in touch if you want to come and collect. If you want to drop things off for the July auction or spares, then I should do that as well. Regarding picking up when I'm dropping off, depending what it is, as long as, yeah, obviously, if you've got stuff to send into auction while I'm dropping your stuff off, as long as you can physically get it on the van, then we'll pick it up at the same time. So just bear that in mind if you want to send stuff in for the July auction. Other than that, I think that's about it from me. I'm absolutely shattered, and I need to go and have something to eat and get some sleep, I think. And we'll do it all again next week. So next video will be Tuesday night, won't it? We'll hopefully have a bit of a catch up then on where we're at with the next sales, and anything interesting that's coming in, basically. There's a couple of people who said they're bringing bits with them as they're collecting their stuff from this auction. So again, just time-wise cataloguing, that stuff will probably be put away for a little bit, but I'll take some quick phone snaps as usual. We'll just run through those like we do, so you know what's coming in before it gets catalogued properly. So there we are. I think that's probably it from me. I'm knackered and I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Can't think straight. So I shall bid you all farewell, I think. And thank you all very much again for your spirited bidding today, those of you who've bought stuff. And we'll no doubt catch up with you in the week or at the weekend for collections or deliveries. And we'll do it all again soon. Marvellous. And that's it. Over and out. Thanks a lot, and nighty night.